Top boxing news.
Ow! Okay, we'll start with this. Well, Chris Mannix posted this earlier today. Tweet that reads, Showtime will televise the Jamal James versus Radzav Butaev 147-pound title fight tonight. Ordinarily, there would be heavy promotion for Davis versus Romero. There will not be tonight, and Romero is not expected to face Davis in December. PBC and Showtime are actively looking for opponents to replace Rolando Romero on December 5th. Sources tell SI Now, Romero, an undefeated lightweight contender, has been accused by multiple women of sexual assault. This is a story that quickly picked up steam approximately 3 or 4 days ago, and there was widespread speculation that if the story actually gains any traction, this could affect Rolando Romero's participation on the card moving forward, because these accusations are nothing to gloss over. A woman that goes by the name Isabel Zambrano stated via her Twitter account that 5 people, including me, we all have the exact same story and didn't know until I came forward. This is your friend. This is the real Rolando Rolly Romero.
Initially, some people thought that this was a shakedown.
But from where I was sitting, I thought it prudent to take my time with the story, wait it out and see what happens, because if this were a shakedown, it wouldn't make sense to shake Rolly down, as it were, ahead of the fight. If you were trying to shake that guy down for some cash to perhaps settle out of court so that these accusations don't see the light of day, well, you would have done that after the fight, not before.
After the guy's gotten paid.
Isabel stated that 3 more women came forward, were all Latinas from Las Vegas, Nevada. It appears that, at least according to Isabel, her allegations, this is pattern behavior for Rolly Romero.
5 turned into 3.
Which makes 8. Multiple women are coming forward stating that Rolando Romero quite forcefully attempted to have
sexual relations.
Ever since Isabel came forward, it's been a downward spiral for Rolly Romero. A downward spiral that's moving fast. Regis Prograis reacted to the initial story, the initial news, by saying, "Can I say something bold? I think the allegations about Rollies is bullshit. I think they wanted to give Tank an easy in-house fight, so they chose Rollies because he talked shit. But at the press conference, he bombed, and people aren't interested in that fight. Just my opinion," to which Isabel herself responded by saying, "Just to be clear, it's not racy or bold to invalidate the testimony of my sexual assault. Don't use my trauma to get paid. It's disgusting, Regis Prograis, to think what happened to me that night was made up to stop a fight. Who even are you?"
That would be overkill.
Cooking up a story like this just to swap Rolly out for some other opponent. I mean, if you wanted to swap him out, you could just say the guy got injured or he contracted COVID-19, something along those lines. This kind of a story being doctored up so that Gervonta could fight someone else in December, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and I think that Regis was really off base to jump to that conclusion, as more and more women are coming forward telling the same story in reference to Rolly Romero. First it was 5 women, then 3 more came forward, which made 8. Since then, that number has gone up to 9.
It's up to 9 women now telling the same story.
And the main thing here is not rushing to assume, not jumping to conclusions, letting those that are coming forward go through the proper channels.
So that what needs to happen does happen.
Behind closed doors, conversations are happening in reference to this situation. Those of you out there giving your own character assessments of what you think is really going on, what you really think of Rolly, what you really think of Isabel. And you're entitled to have your opinions on the situation, though this being a public channel, speaking to the public, I myself am not going to rush to assume or jump to conclusions, because Isabel herself just filed her police report. She urges others who are comfortable to come forward as well. You are not alone. We are all strong together. I take my life back tonight. Those were Isabel's words after having filed her police report.
Proper channels in place for a reason.
Municipal and civil servants, a judicial system.
That's what your tax dollars are paying for.
Stories getting hotter and hotter day by day, and like a fever, it's got to run its course. It's got to be run through the proper channels so that justice can be exacted if that is what's necessary. I won't make proclamations about Rolly Romero's innocence any more than I will question the validity of Isabel's story. That's for the authorities to investigate and let them decide. Now, it's important to note that Regis Prograis did retract his initial tweet in reference to the situation between Isabel and Romero. He stated he just wanted to apologize. He was thinking it was something to do with boxing politics. He didn't know the full story. He deleted the tweet right after he tweeted it, and he admitted that it was very ignorant.
Yeah, Regis is a good guy.
And he was willing to admit that he was wrong. Though along with admitting that he was wrong about Isabel, Rolly, and the entire grotesquerie of that story, he also threw his name into the hat for a Gervonta Davis fight. He stated, "I'll fight his little ass on short notice." Floyd and Leonard both said they loved that fight, but we all know that's bullshit. Tank ain't fighting no elite fighters anytime soon, even on short notice. Let's see who they're gonna find for him. To which Gervonta Davis himself replied before deleting the goddamn tweet. He does that a lot. He said, "You're looking for a payday. I heard Shakur killed you in sparring. Don't do that. I will gladly retire you, bitch." To which Regis Prograis replied, "Don't need a payday from you or anybody else. Talk is cheap. Coming from the NIGGA that's about to fight Rollies."
Not anymore.
Regis Prograis is a high-risk, low-reward guy for anybody hovering around 140 pounds right now because he's a very capable boxer, a former champion, still one of the elites, and still one of the bigger punchers, if not one of the biggest punchers.
He is.
Anywhere at or around that weight. And I don't think for a second that Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather Jr. are going to take a chance putting their prize stallion, Gervonta Davis, in there with Regis.
I mean, think about it. They wanted him to fight Rolly.
That was the original plan, and Romero, outside of being a decent-sized puncher, though I don't know how decent since he hasn't proved very much at 135 pounds, outside of his punch, he's a fundamentally flawed fighter that was underdeveloped, and that's who they were going to put in there with Gervonta Davis. So why on earth would they put him in there with a former champion at a higher weight in Regis Prograis, who also happens to be a slick southpaw, the way they try to make Gervonta Davis seem like a slick southpaw? I hate to break the news to you guys, but Regis Prograis is a more proven fighter than Gervonta Davis. He just doesn't have the same promotional engine behind him.
But he's the real thing.
The power that Regis Prograis packs is not the byproduct of smoke and mirrors. It's no illusion. This guy's dangerous, and he's dangerous for Gervonta Davis. He's dangerous for a lot of guys, anywhere at or around 140 pounds.
So don't look for Mayweather Promotions to make that fight.
That's far more dangerous than they'd like. One name that I've seen thrown around in some circles who might end up standing in for Rolly Romero is Mexico's own Isaac Cruz, who was last in action earlier this year in June on the undercard of Charlo versus Montiel. Guy with a record of 21 wins, 1 loss with 1 draw, 15 knockouts, never been stopped. Promoted by Samson Lukowicz, who we all know does a lot of business with the PBC.
He'll likely be the one standing in.
They've got to find someone to do it, and they've got to find someone fast, because December is fast approaching as we exit out of the month of October, enter into the month of November. These guys are trying to put on a pay-per-view because Gervonta Davis is supposedly some kind of pay-per-view star, some kind of pay-per-view attraction, so they're going to do what they got to do to save the date. And it's not like Gervonta Davis was about to fight some big-name opponent anyway.
Yeah, since when did he start fighting big names?
I mean, yeah, maybe Rolly Romero is a bit more well-known than Isaac Cruz, though in the greater scheme of things, neither one of those guys is a household name, and a fight with either of those guys.
Only Gervonta Davis' sycophants are excited when he fights.
Same group of guys, it's the same group of people, and that ain't a big group.
Last pay-per-view only did 215,000 buys.
Mayweather Promotions isn't in the business of developing promising young fighters. I mean, let's get that right out of the way. And the walls seem to be closing in on them because this couldn't have been part of the plan. Rolly Romero ending up in this mess and them having to find Gervonta Davis a short-notice opponent.
They don't groom fighters over there.
It's not what they're in the business of doing. What they're in the business of is gaslighting the boxing community into thinking that their fighter, I should say, Gervonta Davis, is a better fighter than he actually is without him having to prove it.
And the walls are closing in on them. They are.
Because they can't keep matching him this way forever, alienating him from the rest of boxing the rest of the fighters in these weight classes, and perhaps that's the reason that Gervonta Davis himself took to social media and stated, "After this fight December 5th, don't talk to me about boxing. I'm off this shit. I done smoked one of these NIGGAs in real life. So many fake tough when y'all get so bold, but soft for real when shit get ugly. Stop mentioning me. After this fight, I'm no longer a boxer." And this tweet, like the previous one he deleted.
Why does he keep deleting his tweets?
This guy's 26, going on 27 years old, but they keep coddling him. He's still thought of as being one of the young up-and-comers, one of the young guys, one of the...
Well, he might behave like a petulant child.
But he's a grown man, albeit not a fully grown man, but you get the gist of it.
And they're still matching him like he's a fucking prospect.
Or a contender, when in reality, he's a two-time champion at 130 pounds he is, or was. He won the IBF title from Jose Pedraza, blew the weight, lost the title on the scales, and was granted the opportunity to fight for the WBA title at that same weight, the full WBA title.
They're still so careful with him.
They can only gaslight people for so long in reference to Gervonta Davis. Matching him this way will only bring them so much success before
they hit a wall.
Gervonta Davis's fights, given how he's matched, are never going to have the big fight feel, the big fight buzz.
There's no intrigue and there's no demand.
No demand for him to fight the guys that he's been fighting. And because of this, there's a cap on how far he can go so long as he continues down this road, down this path of least resistance. So if he wants to call it a career after December 5th, I'm all for it. Good riddance to bad rubbish, because it's not like he was fighting the top shelf, top tier guys anyway.
Dillian is a free agent, Eddie, so if he wanted to, he could move to make that deal by himself. So why do you feel like he would keep you involved for that?
Ask him. He's been a free agent since the first fight we ever did with him. We've never had a contract with Dillian Whyte. We've got all his fighters with Matchroom. We're the best promotional company in the world. He needs our leverage, and he's extremely loyal. So, there's no will he re-sign with us? There's nothing to re-sign. Dillian Whyte works with us. You can ask him. We're looking forward to trying to make that fight.
Eddie Hearn is confident that Matchroom will be involved in the Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury mandated title fight.
Title fight that hasn't been mandated yet.
The fight that Eddie Hearn expects to be ordered by the WBC at their convention, November 14th through the 19th. WBC previously set Fury 30 days to try and agree an undisputed fight, but Alexander Usyk has to rematch Anthony Joshua, and we'll look for that order to come down in November, if it does in fact come down. With the WBC, you never really know. Though I must say that Matchroom's involvement going into this set of negotiations for a Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury WBC Ring Magazine title fight, it could create instability. It could create a volatile situation, because we all know that Uncle Bob, he's going to want that to be a top-ranked show without Eddie Hearn's involvement, without Matchroom's involvement. And because Dillian Whyte doesn't have a contractual agreement with Matchroom, because he's not an according to Hoyle Matchroom fighter, he should see about using his free agency to get that fight over the line and get it over the line smoothly. Now, if he doesn't like what Top Rank has to offer, what he can then do is wait for the deadline.
Because there's going to be one.
If an order from the WBC comes down for Tyson Fury to satisfy his mandatory challenger in Dillian Whyte, they're going to give him a grace period to negotiate a deal.
They are.
Grace period for the affected parties to negotiate a deal amongst themselves. And if they can't reach a deal by a certain time frame, the fight will then go to a purse bid, at which point
that's when a Matchroom and an Eddie Hearn can step in.
Though for the time being, Dillian Whyte should look to deal with Bob Arum, Tyson Fury, and Top Rank directly in order to remind them that they've got a limited window of opportunity to get the fight done before Eddie Hearn and Eddie Hearn's Matchroom wallet get involved. And you can bet your bottom dollar that he'll be chomping at the bit for a purse bid to roll around, so he can get into a bidding war with Bob Arum, whose budget is not equal to Matchroom's.
They've got to reach a deal before a purse bid rolls around.
That will require the people at Top Rank to negotiate in good faith and in a timely fashion. Particulars that require some attention is that, Top Rank, they're an American-based promotional outfit that cater to American boxing fans for the most part, and
they're saying they want to get Tyson Fury back to the UK for his next fight.
At least that's what Bob is saying now. Though if the fight were to land in the United Kingdom, who would promote it? In the United Kingdom, Top Rank's broadcast partner is Sky Sports.
But it's not a given that the fight would land there.
On that platform in the UK, because Frank Warren, he's not out of the picture. You know, he was right there with Tyson Fury.
He walked him out in his last fight.
Frank Warren, Queensberry Promotions, BT Sport, they may still be in the picture. And if they are in the picture,
And Tyson Fury's next fight ends up in the UK.
who's to say that Frank Warren and Queensberry Promotions don't promote his next fight? You see, I think that's a major detail that's going to require some reconciliation, because if Tyson Fury's next fight is in the United Kingdom, it's conceivable that Frank Warren and the people at BT, Queensberry, they're going to want
to promote it.
They might want to do it on their platform, and their platform in the United Kingdom is BT Sport, whereas Top Rank's UK broadcast partner is Sky.
You have to wonder who's going to be making Dillian Whyte an offer.
If and when the order comes down, will it be Top Rank and Bob Arum here in America, or will it be Frank Warren, Queensberry Promotions, over there in the United Kingdom? That is a situation.
That could become a situation.
I think Top Rank, comparatively, can make Dillian Whyte a more generous offer than the people over there at Queensberry can. But if it's Top Rank that makes the offer, doesn't that then mean that Tyson Fury's next fight would be here in the United States as opposed to over there in the United Kingdom? Because if it's over there in the United Kingdom, isn't the onus to do the fight and make the offer on Queensberry?
Queensberry ain't got a lot of money.
If the idea is to do Tyson Fury's next fight in the UK as opposed to the US, doesn't that then mean that Queensberry will be promoting it? And if that's what that means, doesn't that also mean that it's going to be on Queensberry to make Dillian Whyte an offer? And you'll excuse me for saying so, but I don't think Queensberry have it in the budget.
Yeah, I don't think they got it in the budget to offer him what he's looking for.
The kind of money he's looking for, right? Don't. Now, if it was Sky as opposed to BT, if it was Sky Sports that were going to show the fight as a Sky Sports box office pay-per-view, well, Sky's got more money to play than BT and Queensberry do, but
Tyson Fury ain't got no agreements with Sky.
I mean, yeah, Sky is Top Rank's UK broadcast partner, and they do air Top Rank fights happening here in America over there on Sky for a UK audience, but
If Fury's next fight is going to be in the UK, ain't Queensberry going to promote it?
and if that's the way it happens, if that's the way it all breaks down, Queensberry will be helming the promotion for the fight in the UK. I question Queensberry's ability to get that Dillian Whyte fight over the line, because I reiterate, they ain't got as much money to play. They ain't got as much to offer. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of this breaks down when the time comes. Who's going to be the lead promoter for this fight? Where is it going to happen? And on what platform will it go down? That's if they don't decide to just franchise Tyson Fury, chuck the belt, and skip this song and dance altogether.